Film noir, or black film, is a term coined by French critics in the 1940s that could be defined as a style of visual storytelling, which gained quick popularity throughout the movie industry.
There you go.
It is not easy to precisely explain film noir, as it has no solid definition. Many stereotypes revolving around film noir include shady men in trench coats wearing fedoras, dark and murky city streets at night surrounded by shadows, and of course, the infamous femme fatale, a woman of immense beauty yet very dangerous, and sometimes even deadly. But wearing fedoras in a movie does not make it a film noir, so what could be its most accurate definition? It could be explained as a certain feeling evoked through the visual compositing using low-key lighting and dark narratives marked by moods of pessimism and fatality.
Sie kommen 10 Minuten zu spät. 10 minutes too late.
Ever since the birth of film noir, many directors and cinematographers around the globe have been inspired by this, you could call it movement, genre, or perhaps technique in filmmaking. The imprint that film noir has left our current movie business can be easily spotted on countless of our everyday blockbuster movies. Film noir once opened a new door in visual storytelling, and this door has remained open ever since. Maybe you're a film entrepreneur looking for inspiration, or perhaps an enthusiast eager to learn something new, something interesting. This short documentary is going to walk you through the core elements of film noir and help you understand what makes it one of the most influential film styles in the history of cinema. What makes film noir such a game changer? What is so special about these so-called black films? In order to fully understand the concept, one needs to firstly learn about its origins, where it all began. Let's skip back to the dirty 30s, the Great Depression. During the early 30s, life became quite the struggle for the American people. With an estimated 25% unemployment, the country was left with very little to survive. On the other hand, the 1920s had brought a great deal of technological improvements that facilitated the process of filmmaking. 10 years of research had brought the ability to use synchronized sound and more controllable and affordable means of lighting. The movie business by the end of the 30s was roaring, being run by multi-million-dollar companies including 20th Century Fox, Warner Bros., Paramount, and Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer. Movies were being produced at incredible rates, growing more and more popular amongst Americans. It seemed as if going to the local cinema was a way to loosen up and forget for a short time about the crisis plaguing the country. As the demand grew, movie studios decided to increase the number of motion pictures being distributed to the local cinemas with a very smart sales technique. It was called block booking. For cinemas to show blockbusters, otherwise known as an A-list film, they would need to purchase a pack, or block, including several other lesser-known movies, aka B-list films.
Once I built a railroad.
This brilliant way of distributing motion pictures opened many doors for other filmmakers. The film industry quickly boomed, selling blocks, sometimes including up to hundreds of B-movies. Soon enough, the studios needed more motion pictures, allowing many different genres and styles to flourish within the film industry. Experimentation was now accepted, so it was only a matter of time before film noir emerged during the late 1940s. Film noir is based on German expressionism, brought over by European artists escaping the Nazi threat. The threat soon became a reality with the advent of World War II in 1939. The war left people very affected, depressed and delusional, these being common emotions seen in film noir. With plots often related to crime and sex, this style of filmmaking soon became very popular. It was an affordable means as well, since most film noir's professionals were now shooting on more light-sensitive sensors and less intricate setups. It was now easier to shoot on location and with lesser lights. This meant a lot of savings.
Excuse me. Yes? Did you know Mr. Lime well?
In 1948, block booking came to an end, banished by the US Supreme Court's decision in the United States versus Paramount Pictures Incorporated. It was then that film noir moved to a new medium, one that was closer to the audience, one that they could watch from their very own home: television. With TV, the number of film noir movies continued to grow along with its popularity, but soon the development of colour came into film and was perfected.
And I also want you to notice the little separate jacket.
The introduction of colour to motion pictures revolutionised the film industry. It was now possible to use colour creatively, another visual tool to play with. That drastic contrast between white and black recurrent in film noirs was no longer necessary. Colour was pretty, and soon enough, film noir became a thing of the past. But what is the whole fuss about? What are the characteristics that define a classic film noir? The most common and reoccurring features of a film noir can be arranged into two groups: lighting and plot. Film noir's most noticeable feature is its dark, low-key lighting. This technique is often called chiaroscuro, an old word that refers to the harsh treatment of light and shadow in drawings, paintings, and film. In chiaroscuro, the contrast between darks and highlights often work to create a separation of the background to the foreground, also achieving a more dramatic and involving effect on the viewer. The common lighting setup for a film noir look includes a hard key light that projects crisp edges onto the background. This powerful light source can also allow silhouettes and shadows to form part of the shot composition. The most astounding aspect about a film noir's lighting style is the clever manner in which an almost distorted sense of the surroundings and motif are established. This creates tension and mystery within the look of the film, which are themes commonly reoccurring in film noir. Cookies, also known as cucullores and gobos, are the names for a very specific piece of lighting equipment commonly used in film noir lighting. You may have heard the word cookies, but these cookies are not edible. Cookies consist of a flat sheet hung in front of the light lens with cut-out patterns that project detailed shadows and light patches onto the subject. One can opt to use gobos instead. Gobos are another piece of equipment that goes directly between the light source and its lens. This creates a perfectly crisp shadow, and it is often used to project blinds or a window frame, or even the branch of a tree, amongst many other things. Last but not least, we must mention film noir's renowned use of eyelight. This consists of a softened point light directed towards the subject's eyes. It is common for filmmakers to add an extra light to the scene to create a reflection in a character's eyes so they don't look empty or dead. However, with film noir, a different style of eyelight was born, illuminating a larger area surrounding the eyes. This can create an air of glamour on a pretty woman, or a sense of fear on a terrified victim's face. All these techniques have been adopted by many directors and adapted to countless movies produced since the birth of film noir.
Wedding bells are...
Film noir's unique storylines were a shocking thing to Americans living in the early 1940s. Until then, the most common genres in film had been musicals, westerns, comedies, and melodramas. With the birth of film noir, the crime thriller genre received a lot of attention and quickly became very popular. Film noir characters and plots are complex and reflect the intricacies of the real world. The plot goal is not to resolve a mystery or enigma, but rather the character becomes the mystery and enigma, and it is up to the viewer to resolve. Greed, fame, jealousy, and despair, all very common themes within the film noir genre. Moreover, if there is one plot device in film noir that could be called definitive, it's that sweet twist near the end.
It's fake.
That sudden turn of events which viewers find most shocking. Noir plots are enormous within their twisted, intricate plot holes, like a fairground hall of mirrors aiming to distort the viewer's interpretation of what is actually happening. The viewer questions the innocence of our character.
Tell me, now do you do it or do I do it?
Our protagonist becomes a villain, and we get to watch the twisted, dark corruption of his soul. Like a Dorian Gray of the 1940s, we experience the fears of common society, the somber side of our real world. It is no big surprise that this genre became so popular so fast. Film noir marked a turning point in the history of filmmaking by introducing concepts of sexuality, crime, and lewd behaviour, all rolled into one. This technique of using illumination to establish moods of thrill, uncertainty, and even temptation has been exploited throughout the film industry, inspiring thousands of entrepreneurs around the globe. Now, we can find traces of it everywhere. Some of the movies we watch every day are filled with film noir-inspired motifs and film devices, and we might not even know it. So go out there, watch movies, get inspired, take a glimpse into the magical world of film noir, and learn from it. Film noir's twilight years have long been over, but there is no shadow of a doubt that there will be more to come.